Ladies and gentlemen, the following podcast is set for one episode. Your host from Columbus, Ohio, is Michael Kirk. Welcome to the Outlaw Mudcast. Hello and welcome to the Outlaw Mudcast, your digital audio dirt sheet for all things Supershow. Top story this week, the SRG Hardcore Cup 2 live in-play tournament that took place just a little while ago as I'm recording this, August 20th. I don't always cover tournaments like this on the show that are more local type tournaments, but this had championship implications, so I'll talk about it. So, August 20th, Supershow Hardcore Cup 2, $20 entrance fee. It started at noon today. They had a pool of hardcore no disqualification stipulations. They randomly picked from the pool every round, and once that stipulation was picked, it was removed. The pool was tables, ladders, steel chain, Beast Unchained, Ring of Fire, Steel Cage, and Psycho Circus. Snake Pit, Vanilla Gorilla, and card number 15, Bootlegger, were booked in this tournament. You couldn't play any of those. They had 15 players in the tournament, 4 Swiss rounds. After the 4 Swiss rounds, they cut to a top 4. Your 2 semifinalists were Scott Meister and the Beast Michael Kerr. Your 2 finalists were the Cannoli, playing as the original Cyclone, and James Booker playing as Gia de los Muertos. There were 2 stipulations left in the pool, tables match and Psycho Circus match, and the stipulation randomly chosen for the finals was Psycho Circus. So these 2 men squared off in a Psycho Circus match. A long match, went, I would say, close to 45 minutes. It went to crowd meter 1. The Cannoli hit the first finish at crowd meter 0, with James Booker breaking out. And at crowd meter 1, James Booker hits the finish and rolls a 12 due to the plus from the crowd meter and having set up the ladder in play when he hit Swan Song. And so the winner of the SRG Hardcore Cup 2 tournament is, from the higher class, James Booker. James Booker will get a shot at the LFF Hardcore Championship. He will face the winner of the current champion, the Beast Michael Kerr, and the challenger, the Nightmare King, who will be facing off, going from memory, September 3rd, Labor Day weekend, on Sunday Night Fights. Congratulations to James Booker for winning the tournament. For winning the tournament, he will get to create an alt-art card in Supershow the game, and he gets the Hardcore Championship shot. So, James Booker from the higher class, once again, back in the hunt for LFF Championship Gold. Again, congratulations to him. Upcoming live play things. I'll touch briefly on Dragon Con. The events for Dragon Con are currently live on the website. There's one Friday, one Saturday, one Sunday. The first 2 have entry fees. The third is free. First 2 are sealed. Last one is constructed. You'll be bringing everything you need for the last tournament. They announced some of the promo cards that are going to be available for Dragon Con. Now, this is what they're planning to do. This will all depend on whether or not the printers can get the cards printed and shipped to them in time. Those cards are the next 2 competitor cards for the King of Cosplay, Michael Mosley. We have 5 of the competitor cards out already. The first 3 were initially released at Dragon Con last year. To briefly talk about the King of Cosplay, Michael Mosley competitor, the finishes are the same, the stat line is the same. Each competitor card will have a different outfit, because he's the King of Cosplay, and will have a different gimmick. 6 of the gimmicks will each revolve around the opponent rolling a different skill. The 7th gimmick allows you at the start of the match to choose to play using one of the other potentially 6 gimmicks, if you have all 6. In the initial wave, it was that 7th gimmick and then 2 other gimmicks that came out at Dragon Con last year. At PAX Unplugged last year, they released the next 2. This will complete the series at Dragon Con when these come out. We will see a Dragon Con alt-art version of the card Lucky Dragon Jawbreaker. We'll see an alt-art competitor set for Practice Site. And we will see a new entrance card, the Code of Lucha Libre, coming out at Dragon Con. Now, I don't know if any of these will be available on the website. I hope that they are. I know last year at Dragon Con, the Michael Mosley cards were available on SupershowTheGame.com. They weren't for PAX Unplugged. But I'm hoping that some, if not all of this, will be available on SupershowTheGame.com. Especially because, from what I understand, SRG Universe will not have a vendor booth at Dragon Con. To the extent that they'll be able to sell any competitors' cards at Dragon Con, they'll be doing it at their play area. I'm not sure how that's going to work with them not having a vendor booth at Dragon Con. I'll also briefly mention this here. When they were showing off on Talk of the Universe these cards, they also talked about 2 other potential cards being released, Potion Uprising and a new version of Sweet and Salty Impact Drop. This is the skill requirement version, the version that requires you to have an 8 or greater grapple skill. They're going to print a version of that, but you'll have to have an 8 or greater strike skill to run that. That's all of the Dragon Con news that I have. As a reminder, Dragon Con, Atlanta, Georgia, Labor Day weekend. Next live play event I'll talk about in my own hometown, Columbus, Ohio, Pixel Palace Pandemonium 4 at Pixel Palace Games in Powell, Ohio. September 16th, $35 entry fee. You buy your tickets on eventbrite.com. There's a booked list. You can see that on the Eventbrite posting. There will be no stipulations except for the finals match. The finals match will be a main event stipulation. It should be Swiss rounds to a top cut depending on the number of people who attend. There will be 3 promo cards. There's a strike, a grapple, and a submission. The grapple is a skill requirement finish card. The strike is a stop at number 19. You need 2 grapples in play to stop another grapple. You will get these promos when you sign up for the tournament, and if you win the tournament, you will be able to create a competitor in Super Show the Game. That's coming up, again, September 16th. I'll be there playing in the tournament and covering the tournament. I hope to see as many of you that can be there as possible. The next in-person live play event I have revolves around a convention. ArmorCon, taking place October 13th through 15th in Marlborough, Massachusetts, will be the home of a Create a Competitor tournament. Now, from the notes I have, they said that the Create a Competitor tournament is October 15th, Saturday. Now, looking at the calendar, Saturday is the 14th. So I don't know if they just have the date wrong or they have the day wrong. I'm assuming it's the date that it's Saturday the 14th and not Sunday the 15th. Hopefully we'll get some clarification on that as we get closer. But that weekend at ArmorCon, there will be a Create a Competitor tournament. There are currently no tickets on the ArmorCon website for any Super Show events. I looked. Let me give you the pricing, though, to attend. If you want to just attend on Friday, $35 for a day pass. Saturday is $50. Sunday is $30. The entire weekend pass is $80. If you want to go for the whole weekend and get their swag package, I assume this is like a VIP package, it's $120. You'll get the full weekend pass plus things like a limited edition mug, pint glass, some apparel. That's out there too. So those are the current badge prices to attend ArmorCon. That's all I have for you on that right now. I'll give you more as more comes out. Kickstarter news. The 2023 Kickstarter campaign for Supershow the Comic, issue number 6, goes live September 24th. Looks like it's going to run for 21 days. $4,000 launch goal. I talked about the tiers last week. Nothing's really changed. $26 to get the comic, plus the Super Show cards, the new poly set, the new punch card at number 22. There's a $20 Super Show only tier where you just get the cards, the competitor set, and that card. I've heard Boss saying $30. I believe he's including shipping in that, unless what's currently on the draft form, the draft version of the campaign, is not what's going to be on the final. The prices I'm giving you are off the draft version. That may change when the campaign actually goes live. There is currently one community goal. They need to get 150 people following the Kickstarter campaign before the campaign launches. I just checked before I started recording. It was at 60 followers. There's no commitment to pledge anything if you follow. So please, if you have a Kickstarter account, if you're going to back the Kickstarter, follow, because following will help you get more items for the Kickstarter. If you're not, just do us a favor, follow anyway. You can just ignore the email you get when the Kickstarter campaign goes live. But we still need 90 followers to hit the first goal, and then we may see more goals unlocked once we hit the 150 follower number. That's what I have for Kickstarter. CCC News. The second match of round 2 will take place next Friday, August 25th, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. The two people in the match, the two teams in the match are the team of Private Cuddles and Matty Bar 1 versus the Phil Birch and the Trickster. There's also been a change in match length. The first match in round 2 was 72 hours long. They have shortened that. This next match will only be 48 hours long. It'll end Sunday night at 9 p.m. That is a big change. I'm surprised they made that change. Usually, when they start with one match being one way, all the other matches will be that way. I would prefer it that once they establish a format, they stick to that through the rest of the contest. Now, I know I've said I think 48 hours is a better length than 72, and I stand by that. I would have just rather they did 48 hours from the beginning. It really doesn't matter because the voting didn't take place after the first 48 hours in the first match, so I don't think it's going to be a big deal ultimately. But they're changing the match length for the second match. It's dropping from 72 hours to 48. Presumably, match 3 will be the same length as well. We'll have to find out when they announce match 3. The winners of the first match in round 2 between the tag teams of Moxie and Captain Kiddo and Rowdy Ron and the Tartan Terror is Moxie and Captain Kiddo. Nothing was addressed about any of the issues I brought up. It ultimately didn't matter because even if you threw out all the votes that I was contending were not legal, Moxie Kiddo was still winning. And they did. They won. They will be in round 3. As far as what's going to happen in the campaign, as of right now, I haven't seen any promos from the two teams in round 2, match 2. Hopefully we'll see some between now and next Friday. But with less than a week to go, I haven't seen any promos out of any of the 4 contenders for match 2 in the tag round of the CCC. I'm looking forward to see what they put on, the show they put on this week coming up. Let's talk about some tournaments. This Wednesday after Talk of the Universe, this past Wednesday, we had the finals of the 2023 Supershow Cup. This was a single elimination tournament that's been going on for the past few weeks. The two finalists were Big Match Pete playing as Johnny T and Mitchell Manja playing as Chloe Mai. It was a best 2 out of 3 falls. If the third fall was necessary, there would be a stipulation that neither player knew about. In the first match, they went to crowd meter 1. The winner of that fall, Big Match Pete. The second match in the finals went to crowd meter 2. The winner of that fall, Mitchell Manja. So they had to go to a third fall. The stipulation for the third fall was a submission match. This also goes to crowd meter 2. The winner of the Supershow Cup, Big Match Pete. Big Match Pete, who made the finals of last year's Supershow Cup tournament and did not win, wins in his second bite at the apple. Congratulations to Big Match Pete for winning the 2023 Supershow Cup. We don't know exactly what he won, but it looks like he may have received a signed Master of Ceremonies card from General Manager John Clayson. We'll have to find out, but it looks like during the trophy presentation, he may have also received a Master of Ceremonies card that he could potentially cash in for a title shot or something else down the line. Congratulations to Big Match Pete for winning that match. There's been a joint Deep South LFF Tri-State Tag Team Tournament going on. The only news I have on that is that they are going into round 2. Round 1 matches are wrapping up. They're going into round 2. The Tri-State team that goes the furthest in the tournament will get a shot at those tag team championships. The Deep South team that goes the deepest in the tournament will get a shot at that tag team championship. I'll give you more news on that as we get closer to the finals of that tournament. The Midwest Coast is going to be launching both a singles tournament and a tag team tournament where, from what I understand, the winners get a shot at those championships, at the Midwest Coast Singles and the Midwest Coast Tag Team Championship. Sign-ups are live now. The T50 list is in effect. The champions are booked. So you can't play as the Grump in the singles tournament. You can't play as the Memes Dealer or Ricky Riot in the tag tournament. You reach out to the GM, Colin Simon, to sign up if you want to participate in the Midwest Coast tournament. You must live in the Midwest Coast territory to participate. That includes both people on a tag team. The last bit of news I have before I talk about online tournaments and Sunday night fights from this week is that we have the next challenger for the Veterans Championship. The next challenger will be Gene Kenny. Gene Kenny will take on Jeff McPeak in a stipulation to be announced, date and time to be announced. Look for that, Gene Kenny versus champion Jeff McPeak for the Veterans Championship. I'll give you more on that when I have it. We had 2 online tournaments from this past week. I'll start Monday with Monday Night Fights Doom Edition. Again, they were using the Wheel of Doom to randomly choose stipulations in the top cut. They had 19 people play Monday night, 3 groups of 5 players per group, 1 group of 4 players. Top 2 players per group advance into the top cut. The quarterfinal matches were played with the Beast Unchained stipulation. The semifinal matches were dark matches. The finals match and the third place match were New York Rules matches. The top 4 here were, in 4th place playing as Piglet, Cheshire. In 3rd place playing as Wrighton, Chris Pate. Your finalists were the Cannoli as Citizen X and Drew Madsen as Mr. Pop and Twist, with the winner, the TVA Commissioner Drew Madsen, as Mr. Pop and Twist. Congratulations to Drew Madsen for the victory. Thursday, we had Chibi's Thursday Night Fights. 20 players here. 4 groups, 5 players per group. It's a round-robin group top 2 records advancing into the top cut. The quarterfinal matches in this tournament and the top cut were New York rules matches. The semifinal matches were special guest referee matches with Quadruple H as the special guest referee. That means each player can use the gimmick of Quadruple H along with their own competitor's gimmick. And then the finals match was a Ring of Fire match. The top 4 here were in 4th place, playing as Officer Breezes, Jokerfish. In 3rd place, playing as Robert the Brain Dunn himself. The finalists were Piglet, playing as Neptune, and Alec Ventresca, playing as Rob Van Dam, with the winner, Alec Ventresca as Rob Van Dam. Congratulations to Alec Ventresca for winning the Thursday night tournament. This brings us to Sunday night fights. And we had a very long, very exciting Sunday night fights. Only 2 matches on the card. The opening match, the Deep South Tag Team Championship match. The challengers, the team of Wonderlust. Mr. A. Wonderful playing as the Rising Sun. Harvey Luster playing as El Superhombre. The champions, BTE. Brime Time playing as Sabu. Titan playing as Rob Van Dam. In Deep South Tag Team Championship matches, the champions and the challengers have to play as a tag team that exists, either in the game as a Tornado tag team or in real life. In the case of the challengers, the Rising Sun and El Superhombre are on a tag team known as El Super Sons. The champions, and I'm not 100% familiar with this, but apparently Rob Van Dam and Sabu, when they were in ECW, they were a tag team. So that's how they are able to play these characters when competing for the Deep South Tag Team Championship. This match was about a 90-minute match. It went to crowd meter 5. At crowd meter 4, we had a near fall. The challengers hit the Circle of the Sun, but they only rolled a 9, printed 5 plus 4 from the crowd meter, and Brime Time rolls a 10 on his only breakout roll and breaks out. It goes to crowd meter 5. At crowd meter 5, the champions hit the finish. The Deep South Tag Team Championship belts allow the partner to bury half of their hand and double the skill boosts on a finish being hit. So in this case, when they hit the finish, Titan only had 3 cards in hand. He buried 2. It doubled the stats on the finish card, and the champions roll a 19. It was not possible for the challengers, even with save rolls, to meet a 19 or exceed it. So the winners and still champions, BTE. Congratulations to BTE for your victory. Great match. One thing came up, though, rule-wise, that I want to talk about. At one point in the match, I believe it was Titan hits Embrace the Madness against Mr. A. Wonderful. Titan playing as RVD, Mr. A. Wonderful playing as the Rising Sun. Embrace the Madness is a follow-up card at number 20. It's a follow-up grapple. Skill requirement card, 8 or greater strike to run it. It says, your opponent's next submission has the added text, if stopped, you lose the match via disqualification. The question came up in the match, does this affect Tunnel, or is it global? What does that mean? If, in this case, Mr. A. Wonderful, playing as the Rising Sun, if he plays the Circle of the Sun, for example, against Titan's tag team partner, Brime Time, if the finish is stopped, if Circle of the Sun is stopped, does Mr. A. Wonderful's team lose the match via disqualification because Embrace the Madness puts that text on the Circle of the Sun, even though the Circle of the Sun isn't being played against Titan? There was some back and forth. From what I understand, the answer is no. This tunnels. It would only put the text on the submission cards played by Mr. A Wonderful when they're being played against Titan. And the example I'm going to use for this is the set up the table, ladder, and steel chain cards. I have set up the steel chain here. That's a follow-up submission at number 24. It says, flip 4 cards, add 1 submission from your discard pile to your hand. All finished submissions have the added text, your finish rolls are +1. This has been ruled that in multiplayer matches, including tag, it only puts the text on finished submissions that are in the tunnel. So the player that plays it and the player it's played against have that text on their finished submissions when played against each other. So, for example, same thing here. If Titan had played Set Up the Steel Chain instead of Embrace the Madness against Mr. A Wonderful, and then Mr. A Wonderful went on to play the finished submission against Brime Time, the Circle of the Sun would not have your finish rolls are +1 on the text of the finished sub, because it only copies within the tunnel. It only copies between the player that played the card and the player that's being played against. And any other interactions don't matter. That's the way it's been ruled for years now. And that was a change, because in the past, when Set Up the Steel Chain and that line came out, it was considered in multiplayer matches to apply to everyone. That has since changed. It now only applies within the tunnel, and it's been that way, I would say, pre the whole targeting tunnel concept being brought into the game. So, Embrace the Madness and cards like that only add text to cards being played by the person that card was played against the person who played the card. So if I play Embrace the Madness on someone in a multiplayer match, it only puts that text on that person's cards when they play cards against me. Nobody else. I wanted to bring that up because that was an important ruling. There was a lot of discussion in the chat during Sunday Night Fights about this, so I wanted to bring that up. Piglet, who's the GM of the Deep South Tag Team Division, made a ruling. His ruling agreed with what I said, so I support that ruling. We may see some more discussion on this on the discussion group. That is my view, though. Based on the set up the table, ladder, and steel chain card rulings, Embrace the Madness only puts text on cards played against the player who played Embrace the Madness by the player Embrace the Madness was played against. That's a little convoluted in the wording, but basically it only adds text within the tunnel. Now let's talk about the final match of Sunday Night Fights, the LFF World Heavyweight Championship match. This match went almost an hour, about 50 minutes. The whole program went almost to the limit. Brian Schmidt had to be off the air by 10:30. I think they ended up going off the air about 10:27, so took it to the limit. In the LFF World Heavyweight Championship match, the challenger, Alec Ventresca, playing as AJ Styles. The champion, Bob Dunn, playing as Big Bad Bobby D. This was a very good back-and-forth match. It ended up going to crowd meter 2. The champion retains. Bob Dunn is still the LFF World Heavyweight Champion. Not sure who his next contender is, but like I reported earlier, Big Match Pete now apparently has a Master of Ceremonies card. Maybe he will use that to get a shot at the LFF World Heavyweight Championship. There was a lot of discussion about that from the commentators on Sunday Night Fights and in the chat. Did not happen, but we may see that happen soon. As far as events coming up for next week, there's nothing currently listed on supershowthegame.com, but I believe, going from memory, Brian Schmidt at the end of Sunday Night Fights said that he will be doing Monday Night Fights, that he will be streaming it. So twitch.tv/SRG Universe if you want to see that. I assume we'll have Chibi run a tournament, Chibi's Thursday night fights. All these should go live at some point tomorrow on supershowthegame.com under shop, under online events. And just keep an eye on the Supershow, the SRG Supershow discussion group on Facebook for events popping up potentially throughout the week. CCC match goes live Friday, August 25th through August 27th. And with that being said, that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Outlaw Mudcast. I would like to thank all of you for listening, and good day.